Hey guys, Nerdspire here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to discuss puzzles and how they can make or break a game, especially horror games. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button if you enjoy it. Puzzles are a huge part of many games. Some would even consider them what makes a game. Think about it. Before video games, what did people use to keep their brains moving and help themselves not be so bored? Puzzles. But let's not get confused. A video game doesn't need puzzles to be fun. Many games make puzzles work, like Jedi Fallen Order, or even the Batman Arkham games, where puzzles are prevalent and done extremely well, without taking away from the game itself. This helps when the story drives the characters to scenarios that would require puzzles. Like in Jedi Fallen Order, it would make sense that a Jedi temple would have puzzles to figure out. Who's worthy and who's competent enough to gain access to holocrons and the other Jedi secrets. And for Batman, he is a detective, so of course, especially pertaining to the Riddler, a few puzzles won't kill the immersion. But not every game does this perfectly. An example a friend of mine brought up was God of War, and though I am aware puzzles are a decent part of the original games, it was more platforming and simple puzzles rather than the repetitive and drawn-out puzzles that defeat immersion and make you focus primarily on the puzzle at hand rather than the characters and their growth or progression in the story. One of my personal most controversial takes is I cannot stand Poppy playtime, whether it's the design of the character and games themselves, the lack of immersion into the story, or the puzzles that drag out and make your brain rot. This game becomes less fun to watch or play as time progresses. Puzzles are okay. They don't necessarily hurt an experience, but when every little thing you do in a game is a puzzle that drags out the game, or even worse, has no tension and takes away from the actual gameplay elements, it makes the game feel clunky and slow. Throughout the story of Poppy Playtime, puzzles seem to get worse, adding small changes to their created feature with the grab pack, and throughout the first game they don't really take away from the gameplay itself, more so introducing the idea that this is a puzzle experience with horror elements. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but as the game has extensions to the story, the puzzles become too much or too little, feeling like tedious and absurd additions rather than actually helping the story to move along. Having puzzles for the sake of having puzzles is not fun, it's just monotonous, especially when it doesn't add to the horror elements. This is also prevalent in another big popular game, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. We are all aware this game really lacked in the horror department, and was more a story-driven experience with puzzles and some minor horror elements, although they could have used some work, since I know personally, not once was I scared playing it the entire time. They did a better job in Ruin, but the entire DLC was pretty much just an array of puzzles leading to a chase scene, which gave major Poppy Playtime vibes, right off the bat. I didn't hate this game, but of course with the game-breaking glitches at launch, the slow and tedious puzzles that kept the pace slow in a horror game, and the lack of fear factor, this game was very much undelivered. There are some great video game experiences with puzzles that work well with horror. Little Nightmares, both 1 and 2 for example, with actual fear factor, and even having a story being told, the pacing was perfect and kept players on their toes. The puzzles weren't too much, and if they were difficult, they were paced within the game. Games like Poppy Playtime failed at this miserably, with multiple puzzles where the gameplay felt like it came to a complete halt with no tension whatsoever. Other games I feel are majorly weakened by puzzles are games like Resident Evil and Layers of Fear, which I know to some is a crazy take, but remember this video is my opinions, so if you don't agree, just explain why in the comments below. Some horror games do this right and succeed, like Hello Neighbor, Visage, and one of my personal favorites, Inscription. Video games are really up to interpretation. Everyone has different opinions, but I'd like to say my piece about this kind of thing, and hey, maybe there are others out there that agree with me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and God bless. Bye bye, y'all.